Hello, another Wednesday Bible study with Pastor Mark from the Word of Life Fellowship Church in Omaha, Nebraska. I hope you're having a good day. I will not give you a weather report, but I will say this, it's cold. Today, I'm going to jump right into the Word, and I want to talk about the second coming or the return of Christ to the earth. I'm going to try and do this in a short time period, but you know that's hard for me sometimes. We do have this promise. In Acts chapter 1, the 11th verse, angels said to the company of about 500 people standing on the Mount of Olives that just watched Jesus ascend up into a cloud and disappeared out of their sight, said that, I quote, "This same Jesus who was taken up from you into heaven will so come in like manner as you saw him go into heaven." So as they saw him ascend, he's going to descend at some point. He ascended from the Mount of Olives. It's just outside of Jerusalem. I've not been there, but I think it's on the east side of the town. I'm not real sure. Mount of Olives, just outside of Jerusalem. And he's going to return to the same Mount of Olives. And when he does, it's going to be very dramatic. Now, what in the world am I referring to? Well, in Zechariah chapter 14, I recommend that you read chapters 13 and 14. Of Zechariah. It's very, very interesting, very telling. But in chapter 14 of Zechariah, the 4th verse, it also tells us that he's going to return to the Mount of Olives. And it also states, I should say it adds, because this was not said by the angels to the folks there in Acts chapter 1. But Zechariah 14 tells us that there's going to be a terrible earthquake at that time. Now, in Revelation chapter 16, verses 17 through 20, that speaks of a great earthquake. And I quote, "such as has not occurred since men were on the earth." That's in verse 18 of Revelation 16. So that is a big, dramatic, terrible earthquake. It goes on to say that the cities of the nations fell, and that Jerusalem, well, it refers to it as the great city, so we're talking about Jerusalem here, was divided into 3 parts because of this earthquake. So there's a lot of separation on the earth, and there's cracking, and it's dramatic. It's dramatic. Zechariah also says in that same chapter 14, in verse 8, that the Mount of Olives is going to split into 2 parts. And one part's going to go one way, and the other part's going to go the other way. And it's going to create a great valley. And that some of the survivors of the earthquake, because many will die in this world, this earthquake such as not been seen on the earth since men were on the earth. There will be survivors, and they will flee through that valley to safety. Also, Zechariah adds in the 8th verse that water will now flow from that big crack, both into the Dead Sea and into the Mediterranean Sea, out of that same valley. Well, that doesn't happen now, but it will happen as a result of this earthquake and this tearing apart of the Mount of Olives. This is a terrible earthquake. Zechariah 14, the 5th verse, describes that as the folks are fleeing from this earthquake, then the Lord my God, he says, will come, and all the holy ones with him. Now in 1 Thessalonians chapter 3 and the 13th verse, and in Jude there's only one chapter in Jude, but in Jude, verse 14, it tells us that when the Lord returns, he's bringing his saints with him. Zechariah said, and all the holy ones with him. Verse 6 and 7 of Zechariah 14. On that day, neither sunlight nor darkness. It will be a unique day known only to the Lord. I'm just quoting from that passage. When evening comes, there will be light. Joel, another Old Testament prophet, chapter 2 and the 31st verse, says that when the Lord returns, the sun will be turned into darkness before the great and terrible day of the Lord come. In Matthew chapter 24, verse 29 through 30, Jesus is speaking, referring to the time of his return. And Jesus said, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon not give light. Then the Son of Man will appear, then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven, meaning the sky, and they shall see the Son of Man coming, unquote, and, quote, they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory, end quote. Zechariah chapter 14, verse 9, the Lord will be king over the whole earth. And verse 16 says that the survivors of the nations that had attacked Jerusalem will go up year after year to worship the King, the Lord Almighty, and to celebrate the feast or the festival of tabernacles. Wow. Wow. Now, there are many other prophecies referring to this same time period in the book of Revelation and Daniel and many other places in the Bible. But for time's sake, I'm trying to keep it short, reminding us that the coming of the Lord, the actual second coming where he actually lands on the earth, is going to be dramatic. And whatever's going on in your life today, keep this in mind, that Jesus is coming back. And all of this, whatever's going on in your life, all of this, it really won't matter. What will matter is if we lived for him, if we gave our lives to him, or we were baptized, we were filled with his Spirit, we're walking in the truth, and we're trying to spread the news and tell somebody else about Jesus, because he's coming. He is coming. And he's going to bring his saints with him. Amen. Well, God bless you today. I hope to see you this Sunday, 10:30 at the Hilton, True by Hilton. We're in the main conference room, the large conference room on the main floor, first floor. 10:30. God bless you. We love you. We hope to see you then. Have a great day.